Imagine you are watching your favorite rugby team. They are like up by 30 points. There's barely 2 minutes left on the stadium clock.
Game over, basically.
Right. By all traditional sporting logic, the game is completely dead. The players should be winding down, the fans are heading for the exits, and the coach should be sitting back, maybe sipping some water.
Probably already drafting their post-match press conference in their head.
Exactly. But instead, you look down at the sideline, and the coach is screaming. They are pacing, veins popping, in an absolute state of panic. And why? Because the opposition just crossed the try line for what looks like a totally meaningless consolation score.
Yeah, why the sudden panic over a game that's already won?
Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We are looking at a tactical battleground that is going to make that exact scenario a weekly reality. And quickly, before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description.
You definitely want to do that because, honestly, the level of baseline stress for players and coaches is about to go through the roof. We are talking of a fundamental shift in how the game is managed in those crucial final quarters.
So today, our material comes from a really detailed Planet Rugby article. It lays out the freshly confirmed pools and these massive game-changing rule tweaks for the upcoming 2026-27 Investec Champions Cup and the EPCR Challenge Cup.
And our mission today isn't just to read you a dry list of who is playing who. I mean, you can pull up a graphic for that.
Right. Our goal is to dive into the mechanics of these new rules. We want to understand why they will fundamentally alter the strategies every single team uses to survive the pool stages and reach the finals in Lyon. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, the best place to start is probably by defining the battlefield itself. The EPCR, the European Professional Club Rugby Body, has essentially established the absolute Tier 1 royalty headlining this draw.
Oh, absolutely. The heavy hitters.
Exactly. We have the reigning champions, Bordeaux-Bègles. We have the victors of the top 14, Toulouse. We've got the United Rugby Championship winners, Leinster. And, of course, the English Premiership title holders, Northampton Saints.
Those are undisputed heavyweights. And when you look at the way these 4 Champions Cup pools shook out, the density of talent is just staggering.
It really is.
Like, in Pool 1, Leinster and Glasgow Warriors are sharing space with historically tough squads, like Leicester Tigers and Clermont Auvergne. You jump to Pool 3, and Bordeaux-Bègles has to navigate the South African physicality of the Stormers, plus Racing 92 in Munster.
Brutal.
Yeah, and over in Pool 4, Northampton Saints headline a group that includes Bath and the Bulls.
So every single one of those pools requires a team to face entirely different philosophies of rugby week after week.
Yeah.
You might play a fast-paced, unstructured French side one weekend, right? And then have to endure a suffocating, set-piece-heavy South African squad the next.
But the real story of the draw, the one that is making all the headlines, is Pool 2. Let's just call it what it is. It's a Shark Tank.
Oh, 100%.
You have Toulouse, Saracens, La Rochelle, and Exeter Chiefs. Let's stick with that aquatic theme for a second. If Pool 2 is a Shark Tank filled with apex predators, and you drop a perceived smaller fish into those waters, say Connacht or the Lions, the historical strategy is basically survival mode.
Right. They play hyper-defensive. They try to keep the score within 7 points just to scrape together a traditional losing bonus point and pray they don't get eaten alive.
Exactly. So looking at this lineup, does the draw alone essentially dictate a team's failure before the season even starts?
Well, historically, yeah. A group of death like that was a death sentence for the underdogs.
Yeah.
You just mark them down as casualties of the draw. But the EPCR has completely rewritten the underlying mathematics of surviving a tough pool this year.
Wait, really? How so?
The draw is undeniably intimidating, but the escape routes have changed. And that brings us to, I think, the most impactful part of this entire Planet Rugby breakdown.
Ah, you are talking about the qualification shakeup.
Yeah.
Because the article outlines a massive shift in how teams advance. And hey, speaking of advancing your own rugby knowledge, remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description.
Smooth. But yeah, under the new progression rules, the top 3 teams from each Champions Cup pool still automatically progress into the knockout rounds.
Right.
That part is familiar to everyone.
Right. But the remaining 4 knockout places do not just go to the 4th place teams in each pool.
Exactly. Instead, those final spots go to the 4 clubs with the highest number of match points across the entire competition, regardless of which pool they are in.
It creates this wild cross-pool wildcard system.
Yeah, right.
You are no longer just competing against the 5 other teams in your specific pool.
No, you're suddenly in a shadow competition with teams playing hundreds of miles away in completely different groups.
And it applies to the second-tier tournament as well, right? The EPCR Challenge Cup has a very similar mechanic.
Yeah, it does. The top 3 teams from each of their pools progress automatically, but then only the top 3 clubs with the highest overall match points on their own global leaderboard book their round of 16 spots.
And to add another layer of chaos, they are then joined by 4 teams dropping down from the Champions Cup. Visualizing this, it feels way less like a regional heat where you just need to beat the guy next to you, and more like a massive global leaderboard.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It forces every single team to become deeply invested in matches they have zero direct involvement in.
So a coach sitting in Ireland isn't just reviewing their next opponent. They are frantically checking the score of a game in France.
Right, hoping a team they will never even play doesn't secure a bonus point and bump them off the wildcard leaderboard. This raises an important question, though.
Yeah, I have to push back on the fairness of this. Doesn't this actually punish the teams stuck in those groups of death we just talked about?
Now let's look at it.
Take that Pool 2 Shark Tank. If Connacht, the Lions, Toulouse, and La Rochelle are locked in brutal, low-scoring trench warfare, constantly beating each other up and splitting the match points, won't teams in slightly weaker pools just easily snatch up those cross-pool wildcard spots by steamrolling lesser opposition?
That is the exact strategic dilemma that directors of rugby are analyzing right now. On paper, a cross-pool leaderboard heavily favors teams with easier schedules.
Right, because if a team can coast to high-point victories, putting 50 points on a struggling club, while Pool 2 teams are grinding out 12-10 victories in the mud, the team with the easier schedule has a massive advantage.
Yep, they just accumulate points for those wildcard spots. It almost creates an incentive to hope for a slightly weaker pool rather than wanting to test yourself against the best.
If I'm a coach in a brutal group, I would feel incredibly shortchanged by a team skating by on easier fixtures.
Well, the EPCR anticipated this exact loophole. They realized that a straight global leaderboard could be manipulated by the luck of the draw.
So what did they do?
To counter that, they didn't just change the tournament structure. They completely revolutionized the tiebreaker and the bonus point rules to ensure that absolutely nobody gets a free ride to the knockouts.
Okay, the tiebreaker and the bonus point changes are where this deep dive gets really fascinating. These might sound like minor administrative tweaks, but they alter the fundamental DNA of how a match is played.
Let's take the tiebreaker first. If 2 teams are tied on match points on that global wildcard leaderboard, the deciding factor is no longer overall points difference.
It is now the number of wins accrued.
Exactly, which immediately devalues the old strategy of heroic failure. In the past, a smaller team might go into a match against Leinster with the sole intention of losing by only 6 points.
Right, they wouldn't try to win, they would just try to secure that losing bonus point, hoping they could run up a massive score against a weaker team later to boost their points difference.
But now you actually have to win games to win tiebreakers. Points difference cannot save a team that only knows how to lose beautifully.
But the bonus point change, that is a rule that completely blew my mind when reading through the sources.
Oh, it's huge.
Historically, to get a try-scoring bonus point, an attacking team just had to score 4 tries in a match. That was it. I always thought of it like a sales quota.
The sales quota. I like that.
Yeah, you hit your 4 tries, you get your bonus point, and you can effectively clock out early. If you're up 40-10 with 20 minutes left, you could give up 3 soft tries in the final moments, but hey, you hit your quota of 4, so you still get your maximum league points.
And it created a very distinct, often frustrating type of game management. Teams would exert immense energy for 60 minutes, secure their 4 tries, and then the structure of the game would completely fall apart.
Substitutes would come on, the defense would loosen up.
Yeah, the intensity would plummet because the primary objective was already in the bag.
But the new rule utterly destroys that sales quota mentality. Now, teams only get the try-scoring bonus point if they score 3 or more tries, more than the opposition.
It turns the match into a grueling tug of war where you can never, ever let go of the rope.
Exactly. If you score 4 tries, but the other team scores 2, your differential is only +2. You get nothing extra. You need to keep pulling to stretch that gap back to 3.
Taking that a step further, consider the hypothetical scenario you brought up at the very start of our discussion. Let's say a team is leading by 4 tries to 1 in the 78th minute.
Okay, so they have that crucial +3 differential.
Right, they have the bonus point secured in their pocket. Then, through a moment of lost focus, the opposition scores a late try.
The differential drops to +2.
The bonus point vanishes instantly. In the dying seconds of a game they have already won on the scoreboard, they have suddenly lost a league point that could determine whether they make the playoffs on the global leaderboard.
Wow. The coach's panic makes total sense now because that single defensive lapse could end their European season.
It essentially eliminates the gentlemen's agreements we sometimes see in high-scoring blowouts.
Oh, we all know those games. One team is up by 30 points, the result is sealed, and both teams comfortably trade a few loose tries in an unstructured second half.
Right, so everyone mutually secures their respective bonus points. It was the ultimate win-win for the standings, even if it was terrible for the competitive integrity of the sport.
Well, that era of mutual benefit is over. Under this new rule, a try scored by the opposition is a direct mathematical threat to your own bonus point.
It forces relentless, high-risk attacking to stretch the lead, coupled with absolutely desperate, bruising defense for the full 80 minutes to protect the differential.
If a team is trying to game that global wildcard system, they have to bleed for every single point. They cannot leak soft tries at the end of a one game.
It elevates every single defensive set. A defensive scrum on your own 5-meter line in the 80th minute while you are leading by 20 points suddenly has the exact same stakes as a championship-winning penalty kick.
The physical and mental exhaustion for the players having to sustain that level of intensity is going to be staggering.
It really demands an 80-minute psychological resilience that we rarely see in the pool stages. Players are used to emotional peaks and valleys within a game. Knowing that a single missed tackle in garbage time carries such severe consequences, well, it's going to test the leadership of every captain on the field.
And they are going to have to sustain that intensity over a remarkably fragmented calendar. Let's pivot to the schedule really quick, and we can look at the EPCR Challenge Cup pools at the same time to give a complete picture.
Yeah, the pools there are incredibly diverse.
Pool 1 features the Cheetahs, Ulster, Perpignan, Dragons, Bayonne, and Zebre. Pool 2 has Benetton, Lyon, Newcastle, the Sharks, Castras, and Scarlets. And Pool 3 brings together the Ospreys, Edinburgh, Black Lion, Harlequins, Toulon, and Vennes.
It is a genuinely continental and cross-hemisphere spread. You're bringing together massively different styles of play, varying travel burdens, and contrasting domestic league pressures.
The ultimate destination for all of these teams is the final, which is set for Saturday, May 22, 2027, at the OL Stadium in Lyon. But the road to get there is broken into strange, isolated blocks.
It is. Rounds 1 and 2 take place in October and December of 2026. Then, there is a gap before rounds 3 and 4 happen in January 2027. The knockouts don't kick off until April.
My question here is about tournament momentum. How on earth do teams build or maintain any kind of cohesive momentum with these massive gaps, especially when they are constantly shifting gears to juggle their incredibly demanding domestic leagues in between?
The fragmented calendar is the ultimate test of sports science and coaching strategy. But if we analyze it closely, those massive gaps go directly back to the new bonus point and wildcard rules we just dissected.
How so?
In the past, a coach could utilize those isolated European weekends for squad rotation. If a powerhouse team won their first 2 European pool games in October and December, the coach might look at a January fixture against a perceived weaker opponent and make a calculated choice.
Ugh. The classic pragmatic sacrifice. A coach would say, we already have enough points to qualify for the knockouts. Our domestic league position is precarious. I'm going to rest my starting 15, send the academy players to play in Europe, take the loss, maybe scrape a losing bonus point, and keep my stars fresh.
Exactly. It was a necessary evil for roster management. But because of those new cross-pool wildcards, and specifically because of the relentless demand of the +3 try differential, that strategy is completely unviable.
Oh, I see. A team can no longer afford to rest their star players in those January pool games.
Right. Because if a coach sends a B team out and they win the game but fail to secure that aggressive 3-try margin, they leave a crucial bonus point on the table.
And that single missing point might allow a team from a completely different pool to leapfrog them on the global leaderboard and steal their knockout spot.
Every single match in October, December, and January is now a must-win. And critically, a must-win by a margin. Coaches are no longer just managing the opponent on the grass in front of them. They are managing against the hypothetical scores of teams playing in different countries.
It turns roster management into a waking nightmare. There is no safe weekend to rest international stars. The pressure is redlined from the first whistle in October all the way to May.
The physical toll on the top-tier players who, are also expected to play in the Six Nations or the Rugby Championship during these windows is going to be immense.
Depth is going to be the only currency that matters. A team with a brilliant starting 15 but a weak bench will simply crumble under the requirement to maintain a +3 try differential in the 75th minute of a freezing January fixture.
It really shifts the premium from brilliant individuals to total squad cohesion. The teams that reach Lyon won't just be the ones with the best attacking plays, they'll be the ones with the deepest rosters and the most ruthless conditioning programs.
It is going to be absolute chaos on the field, and as a fan of the sport, it's going to make every single minute of the broadcast essential viewing. Which reminds me, the broadcast partners have been confirmed for this massive season.
That's right.
For listeners tuning in from the UK or Ireland, the games will be on Premier Sports. In France, coverage is split between BIN Sports and France.tv. South African fans can catch the action on SuperSport, and for those in the USA, it will be streamed on Go.
As those broadcasts kick off, I want to leave you with a final thought to consider something that goes beyond the immediate mathematics of the rulebook.
Right.
We have detailed how this new +3 try-differential bonus point system works mechanically.
Right.
But consider the long-term psychological and evolutionary impact on the sport itself. For decades, tournament rugby has been defined by pragmatism. You kick for territory, you take 3 points from penalties whenever offered, and you build a score slowly and safely.
The old adage, defense wins championships.
But with a system that implicitly demands teams outscore opponents by 3 clear tries to guarantee survival on a global leaderboard, are we witnessing the forced extinction of that pragmatic, kick-heavy style?
That is a phenomenal question.
Will this rule change fundamentally alter the very DNA of European rugby, forcing every single club to abandon safety-first tactics and fully embrace high-risk, high-reward attacking rugby just to survive the pool stages?
Does the old-school reliance on a rock-solid defense and a reliable goal kicker still hold weight? Or does a relentless, almost reckless pursuit of try differential become the only way to conquer the global wildcard? We would love to hear your perspective on this. Let us know your thoughts on how you see these rule changes actually manifesting on the pitch. Are we in for a golden age of attacking rugby or just an era of exhausted defenses? Also, please remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we will look forward to you listening to our next episode.